Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. My name's Dan Holman. I'm your host for the week of January 21st. Got my man Rob Lawlisher from Road 55 going to feed us some fun headlines that we'll key off on this morning.
Good morning, Dan. How are things?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, we were just talking about how the wind's just been rocking us here the last. I'm very thankful that I'm at my peak game weight and that it has not managed to blow me over so far.
Yeah, you and me both.
Got some good stories to jump into this week. This one, a story about a vinyl record store that opened 40 years ago. And what I kind of liked, 40 years ago, they were given all the reasons why they wouldn't succeed then. And here they are today to talk about today's challenges. A story about go or no go, physical distancing traffic management, what it is and how it can work for your retail store. We're deep into the Ontario retail restrictions, and I know that's frustrating many, so we'll chat about that. The digital traffic, back to that traffic conversation, conversion. Dan, I know you got a lot of great insight into the KPIs that we want to be aware of that make the difference to your store. And a story about salespeople's commissions, this one specifically in luxury retail. We've talked about commissions before. So yeah, I'm curious to talk more about this story. Our first one, though, back to the old vinyl from cbc.ca. And I liked, he decided to take a chance selling vinyl 40 years ago when all the rage were CDs and people thought, what are you doing? You're crazy. What were your thoughts when you read this story, Dan?
Well, this is, a feel-good story. I love this. This is Neptune Records, Main Street, Vancouver, British Columbia. And I think perhaps a sign of some things to come here for independent retail. This is a good story about, Rob Firth, who was a construction guy in the 80s, lost his job and decided to follow his passion and open a record store. And certainly, lots of naysayers out there. Vinyl's dead. You got to, CDs are the way to go, blah, blah, blah. He just threw caution to the wind and said, I'm going to follow my passion and I'm going to open this store. I've been swapping records, at swap meets or buying and selling, trading records at swap meets. And I got pretty good at the retail thing. So I'm going to open this store. And I think, Rob, that this will be a story that's echoed through 2021, as there's been lots and lots of job loss in 20 through this first part of 21, and we'll continue that way as businesses face new challenges. And I think you're going to find more and more people that decide that passion is more important than their paycheck, and they're going to do what makes them feel good. And this is really the story of just about every independent retailer. Retail, this isn't, I went to school to become a great retailer. I grew up in retail and I carried on that tradition in my family, as you're reading in this story with both Rob and his son, both very active in the business on their sort of, as they're taking their 40th spin around the sun here. You're going to see more and more of this in independent retail. And I love this. I love that there are still people out there, wanting to follow their passion and chase that dream. And if it lands in retail, man, oh man, I'm behind them 1,000%.
I enjoyed a takeaway from this story. Definitely, wrapped around, I'll call it the romanticism of vinyl. But it seems they really have embraced experience at the store. And I know we're not all going to get Bo Diddley and Jack White showing up at our doorfront to do a show, but it seems like they look for different opportunities to create experiences for their customer base.
Right. And I think I read a tweet from someone that said, I strolled 4 blocks from my house, onto a Racketeer concert in front of Neptune Records. Right. I mean, these guys are having this great feel-good impact in their community, and that's what indie retail is about.
Right on. Okay, our next story from retailinsider.com, talking about this new technology that I'm going to say just really compact and accessible, and that was a big part of this story. A company called Traffic Flow, and they did this really with the mom and pop retailer in mind, trying to help them find ways to manage their traffic, of how many people could get in the store. What'd you think about this one, Dan?
Yeah, Damian Wright's the founder, creative technologist at WXM. It's a company behind this app, and the app is really designed as a go or no go, or go as in come on in, or no, wait your turn. Do I like it? I'm a bit hesitant on this.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I love the technology. I think it fits in that, cost effective, stores that typically have a lineup or that are severely restricted in the number of people that are allowed in. This is a great little sign for your front window, your front door, controlled by an app, counting traffic. Not a bad thing to do.
Totally.
It allows you to count traffic and turn the green light on or the red light on for your front door. And for a mom and pop shop or for a small indie retailer, doesn't have a ton of resource at their fingertips, this is something they can look at if that's, a challenge for them. I think there's a picture of the Outer Layer store in Toronto with this little app in their front door. Yep. And it is not very big. It's not much bigger than a 8x12 sign, and just says, go, come on in. No, please wait. And controlled fully by the merchant, either by, setting the maximum number of people and counting traffic up to that max, or by manually flipping the light on or off to maintain some distance in their stores and to deliver a message of, hey, it's safe in here to the passerby. They're great if you've got a ton of foot traffic walking by your door. If you're a destination store, maybe it's good, to keep people sitting in your car. I look over at Mercado here quite often. Down the street from us, there's a lineup at that bakery or grocery store walking in. And
I have VIP status there. How many donuts would you like, Mr. Lawlisher? Come on in.
Just toss them out. Yeah. So if you're an indie retailer and you're looking for something, cool, innovative, funky, check out Traffic Flow with a K, Traffic and FLO. It's available on an Android and iOS, and cheap and cheerful way to give your customer the green or red light.
Well, I liked, and you touched on too, Dan, that the optics of it, and we've talked a few times about conveying that message to your customer that you are trying to think and keep the environment safe for them. It's got you're a little bit of cutting edge technology, again, thinking for the mom and pop that, right. They've got it going on. And then when all this bull crap is to the side, back to that point, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it a bit here, but about traffic and really getting that understanding of the amount of people coming through your store and nothing but power in those numbers.
Right.
So, folks, reminder that this podcast is brought to you by Canadian Retail Solutions. Let them help you find your cutting-edge retail solution today. If you haven't yet, visit retailbycrs.com. From the latest point-of-sale software, merchandise intelligence, with open-to-buy plans and more, they are here to help. Okay, our next story comes to us, globalnews.ca. Well, this is the recent lockdown, the 28 days where they've tightened up some of the rules, Dan, on, my read from this story just seemed to speak more as the CFIB is shouting about, call it the confusion in the communication going on out there, and it's frustrating a lot of folks. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I thought we made a commitment to not get
riled up
on this.
On the political side of it.
Another example of buffoonery. This is a clear-cut example of a politician with his head so far up his ass he can't see the sunshine. How do you restrict a small retailer and steer people to the big box stores? Well, that's Doug Ford in a nutshell. I don't care about the small businessman, and this guy was a small businessman, and really just the CFIB, Canadian Federation of Independent Business, is standing up. These guys represent about 42,000 businesses, and they're really pushing back on the confusion. And there is a significant amount of confusion around, essential, non-essential. If you carry essential products, you can be open. And now to see them restricting the times that they're open, it's in fact pushing more and more people away from the small business person, where they're probably more safe. I can think of 10 grocery stores I'd rather not walk into and 10 indie stores that I'm more comfortable walking into today. But yet here we steer people into big box stores that really have limited ability to control traffic because the stores are so big. And this is just another, crazy example of this. And the CFIB is standing up and saying, hey guys, let's bring some common sense in here. Let's allow, a smaller number of retail or smaller number of patrons in all stores, and let's not restrict the number of hours that they're open. How does that make any sense that they're restricting the number of hours? So, if you're a guy that works 11 to 7, pretty good chance you can't go into one of these stores anyways because they've been mandated closed, after hours. And so, you're forced to shop with, the big box stores. And why does Walmart get the opportunity to sell everything under the sun to me? Yeah. But my favorite home decor store is not allowed, when there's quite likely only 2 or 3 people in that store at any given time versus, however many people are strolling through the Walmart stores. So it's just another example of us really being disconnected from common sense. Like common sense has completely left us here.
Yeah. In some ways, it seems, it does say the hours, they can be between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m., which I think captures a fairly big bucket. But the confusion comes for a lot that why even have that part? Because now all you're leaving in the consumer's head is that it's restricted. So, they'll, well, I'm not even going to chance it. I know the big box is open and I'm not sure if the small retailer is going to, and here it is. It's just the message itself that's causing the.
Yeah. And let's remember what happened to these retailers, on their biggest day of the year. They were shut down, full on lockdown. And we're dealing with this still with retailers today where, they're in full lockdown. They have essentially a stay at home order. So it's, it isn't really giving you the opportunity to go and shop. And let's remember that time period that you're allowed to go to that retail store, you're not allowed to walk in. It's curbside pickup only for a non-essential retailer. So you're not even going in the bloody store. Right. So these retailers, are still overrun with Christmas product, with holiday merchandise that they didn't have an opportunity to exit from in that Boxing Week that we would typically see that happen in Ontario. Ontario's not the only province that's in that position, but certainly, Ontario and Manitoba are the most grossly affected by the shutdowns that happen right at holiday time, when they would have cleared out a ton of that merchandise that's now going to sit on their shelves for, God knows how long, in the toughest quarter that they're ever going to face. This quarter is more difficult than the first quarter of shutdown or what we saw in 2020. This is a more difficult quarter, much more difficult.
Are there, with these limitations, are there things, Dan, that, okay, do that, but now you need to step up on the support mechanisms that, like, are they where they need to be right now? Is that part of this story, or should
what do you mean where they need to be?
Well, just, there are a lot of the government offering, You
mean subsidization?
Totally.
Yeah, there's not enough subsidy to support independent business. There's not.
So they're getting hit on both sides. Right.
You're getting a kick in the ass here. You can't use the CEWS, the wage subsidy, to keep your 75%, to get up to 75% of your wage covered. If you've got no business, you can't afford to have those people here. So now you're pushing people out to the unemployment line, which puts another, undue strain on the economy. This is just, it's bad, poor. It's poor management of this pandemic. It's the most poor management I think we're seeing across the country.
Well, we've talked about it before, about pick up that phone, get that email going, get out your MLA, your MP.
Get your MLA on horn.
Put the pressure on them and
advocate.
We've seen them make decisions turn on a dime in both directions, right? So I would read into that, like, don't read any of this as permanent forever and a day. There's
Tomorrow you can be open again.
Yeah.
If you stand up for yourself tomorrow, you can be open again. And here, retailers have spent thousands and thousands of dollars to make their spaces safe. Restaurateurs have taken tables away, tossing revenue out in the garbage bin out the back when they take a table out of their restaurant. They've done that to follow the guidelines. And here we have these ridiculous politicians advocating for continued lockdown. It's ridiculous. I was embarrassed by the mayor of Edmonton yesterday saying, well, thank gosh they didn't open restaurants and bars and casinos. Yeah, pal, your head's up your ass too. These restaurants do need to be open. These people do need, and they've done it safely. They've proven that they can operate safely. Yeah. And here we have these forces that work against them. And man, my heart bleeds for them.
Yeah.
You got to get your MLAs on the horn. You got to vote. You got to stand up and fight for yourself.
I never really wanted to be a politician. And this is one of those times where I definitely don't want to be a politician. Don't envy it. It's
you and me both. It's a tough place for them. And they're being, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about one of the things that you can't always control your traffic, but you can control how you view it and manage, or pardon me, what you can do with that information. Dan, talk to us about traffic and conversion and how retailers can pay more attention to that for the growth of their biz.
Well, traffic is one of the factors in your sales volume. And let's just remember what the sales volume equation is. Traffic times conversion times average sale equals your sales volume. 2 people in the door, I close one of them, sell them $100. My sales for the day are $100. It's that simple. Traffic is one of the factors in determining your sales volume. And we need to pay attention to traffic, both physical traffic and digital traffic,
right,
and understand, what levers I can push and pull to increase traffic to support my revenue. And then the second component there is the conversion or the engagement. How many people can I convert from a looker to a buyer, from a shopper to a buyer? In this equation, the more people I convert, the higher my sales volume goes. And understanding why people aren't converting is just as important as understanding why they are converting. Were they in the right store at the right time? Did you have the right inventory for them, at that moment that they were looking for it?
Right.
And so paying very close attention to your traffic is a hypercritical act that you need to be, heavily engaged in. What was my traffic today? Was I properly staffed? Was I over or understaffed? I can help to control some expense by understanding what my traffic is in my physical store. In my digital store, I need to understand why traffic isn't converting and start to remove barriers. When you're looking at your store and saying, I had 300 people on my site today and only 2 people purchased. Well, why is that? What are the barriers that are stopping them from engaging with you? Is your site properly? Are your products properly curated on your site? Are you catering to what that person wants, or have you got a page full of 300 items that they have to, thumb through to see your products? And understanding where people are exiting, how many people are abandoning a cart when they get there. So you really do need to examine traffic and ask yourself the why, the tough questions. And here's the answer, Rob. You decide. You tell me what the problem is, and then you fix it. Right or wrong, you take action. Oh, my products aren't properly curated. Oh, I didn't have a good, greeting and engaging conversation with that customer. I didn't pay enough attention to them. I didn't have the right products. Whatever the answer is, you decide, you put your finger on it, and then prove yourself right or wrong.
The on the traffic side, it's funny. We've talked about this before, but I couldn't imagine, like, for a moment, could you consider, oh, we had a huge traffic day. Like, you counted traffic and then say, well, what were your sales? Well, I don't count my sales. I don't know what that was. That'd be crazy.
Right.
But to know your sales and not know your traffic and like how the two affected each other. I think of the missed opportunity is just what you're talking about there. And on the digital side, there's the abandoned cart, and there's activities to try and, okay, what can we do to get your business back?
Right.
Physically? Are there things that stores can be doing, like that greeting at the door, the we'll call it the abandoned cart, but at the door, you don't have a bag in your hand. And is that, to you, is that where you're going to get the best understanding as a retailer, trying to figure out why
For
didn't
sure.
they
I mean,
buy?
the exit greeting, I think, is an important piece of your customers' engagement cycle in your store, and understanding why they're not buying is hypercritical. And there's never it's never wrong to ask a customer why they didn't buy. And I'll tell you this, we did a study outside of a very high traffic furniture store, like bus pull up and people flood into the store in a high tourist area. Yeah. We paid a couple of high school girls to stand out and survey audiences as they came out of the store and ask them questions like, did you know the name of your salesperson? Were you greeted? Da 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 da. And why didn't you buy? And the number one reason people didn't buy as they left that store is because no one asked them to.
Interesting.
Wow, nobody asked me to buy anything.
They pull the sales trigger. Yeah.
Right. Your store is not a gallery. Your store is not a museum. It's not a place for people to walk through and look in awe at all of the things they have. Your store is a place of commerce.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that our intention is to do business with our people that walk through the door.
They had to walk in with an ounce of purpose, and even more in today's world. We know they walk in that store. I would say that's a pound of purpose, not an ounce. And
Rob, we were on a call with a client yesterday and talking about their increased conversion ratios, their decreased traffic but increased conversion ratios, and we talked about the reason that you're seeing this heightened conversion ratio is because your customer is walking in with purpose. They've made a decision to come to your store, to walk through your door. And, they have been told they're risking their lives to go out in public, right, and yet they're doing that. They've got a predetermined pathway to purchase, and you've got to acknowledge that. You've got to recognize that. And if someone's leaving without a bag, it's on you. You've done something wrong, not you've done something right. You've done something wrong. You've disengaged them. You've made them feel uncomfortable. You don't have the right product at the right time. And you've got to really objectively examine, hey, where was the miss here and how do I correct it? Because I may not get a second chance with that customer.
Okay, well, good segue into our next story, coming from retailinsider.com, talking about luxury retail paying their salespeople a commission. And, for decades, luxury companies have paid their people a sales percentage, the incentive approach. This op-ed piece goes on to say they don't think that's the right approach. What were your thoughts here, Dan?
Well, okay, so let's make sure that we're being crystal clear. This is luxury retail, high-end retail. And, your customer in today's marketplace should never know that you're, or it's not that they shouldn't know. It's that, your direct compensation, your direct commission, shouldn't be based on the sale. It should be based on the customer's experience. And it's a slippery slope between, right, selling and helping someone buy. And in luxury retail, in luxury retail, there is this argument, you walk in, if you've ever walked into a luxury store, you don't see a point of sale system. You're not likely to see a lot of price tags hanging in the store. That's just not the model that they're built on. And so then, paying that person direct commission on the sales perhaps pits, one salesperson against another. And in luxury retail, high-end retail, maybe that's not a critical factor. But that I believe in incentivizing people, right, in paying them and rewarding them for their performance. And certainly that incentivification, incentivize, inspire, inspect, these three components are really how we do a better job in delivering on the customer experience. And this article speaks very much to, you've got to remove, healthy or unhealthy competition from your store via commission. People shouldn't be paid a direct commission on how much they sell when your goal isn't really to sell them something. Your goal is to help them buy something. So maybe a bit of a play or a spin here. I think commission absolutely 100% has its place in a lot of retail environments, and in some perhaps it doesn't. And this is an example of perhaps where I agree. Let's be cautious on paying direct commission from sales. And I would look to alternate methods of compensating people for achieving their income goals. And again, if I'm someone who believes in an income goal, not a sales goal, and I've rarely set sales goals, but rather I set income goals and help people achieve their income via selling. And that maybe is in contrast to what the author in this article had really been referencing as well. I focus most of my energy on people's income goal, and then teach them how to achieve that income goal via, making great customer success stories on it.
Is the formula a bit too, the team approach, when obviously one customer is worth a heck of a lot more on that individual purchase versus, 3 staff and 300 people are going to come through that day. We can't afford the team approach. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Listen, Rob, we absolutely can afford a team approach, and we need to have a team approach applied. This goes back to your very beginning core values, hiring the people that embody your core values. I'm not looking to hire someone. We've all heard this before. Oh my God, he could sell ice to an Eskimo. The most politically incorrect thing I think you can say today, but could sell a chocolate popsicle to a girl in a white fur coat. Listen, it's not about how great you sell. It's about how well you connect, how well you understand people. We've just, in our primitive years, looked at it like we were selling. In today's marketplace, it is about collaborative support. It is about assembling a team that is here for the greater good, that does want to see customer success, not individual success. And we have to foster that collaborative approach in our stores and lean hard on the people that know aspects of the business the best. You walk into an outdoor store, a store full of pros, I want to talk to you maybe when I'm buying my jacket, but I absolutely want to go and talk to Dave when I'm buying a ski or buying a snowboard, right? I mean, these are critical components of this well-rounded purchase for a customer. Let's make sure that we are demonstrating our professionalism and that it's a collaborative effort in our stores.
Do you like to see a bit of a mix, like be some team incentives and individual, and find? I
think the team incentive, even in my business, we have team incentives. Yeah. It's important to recognize, Rob, on a team, you have goal scorers and you have goal stoppers. You have defenders and you have, offense and defense. I don't know how many times we can use the same analogy, but you have guys on your team, girls on your team that score goals, and you have girls on your team that support the scoring of goals. And it takes everybody. It takes the front of the house and the back of the house to have a successful sale, especially in today's environment where there's so much emphasis on fulfillment.
Right. Yeah.
So you do need to have a dual-pronged approach. Yeah. There is not one brushstroke that covers everyone. There are lots of great commission plans or incentivization plans out there, lots of great team reward plans out there, and we really need to look at your business and apply it specifically to your business. Yeah. No one brushstroke covers it all.
Right on. Okay, a lot of good ones we chatted about today. If you haven't yet, folks, head to retailbycrs.com, sign up for the newsletter. We send it out each Friday. It's got all the links to the stories that we talked about as well. There's a few stories we didn't quite get the time for today, but you might have some interest in them. One of them was Lager has unveiled the top retailers in Ontario, and both for Ontario and for Canada for 2020. So a good list to look at and, ask those questions. Why are there and what might you be able to do to get there yourself? Canada Post has shared some key learnings for 2021 and beyond. Canada's top retailers, including physical and online experience. So some interesting stuff there. And Retail 2021, the 5 things retailers should be talking about coming up at the National Retail Federation show. So just some points that you might want to zero in. We'll have that link for you as well. Well, there you go, Dan. What do you say?
That's it, eh? That's the show for today. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Head over to thewealthyretailer.com or retailbycrs.com. Join our newsletter if you haven't already done so. Lots and lots of links to these stories and all the stuff that we didn't talk about, as Rob sort of alluded to, always in every single weekly newsletter that we send out.
And if you haven't yet, just to mention it one more time, go to retailbycrs.com, the 20 for 21 list, folks. It's early in the year. There's still so much time to really, help create a bit of that action plan for yourself. Go there. You can listen to the full podcast, or you can download the full list, the 20 things for 21. That'll really help your biz. Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah, happy retailing.